What's up, gamers? Welcome to Game Champ, your number one spot for all things esports. I am your host, Jay Stilla, and today I got my boy here, Atari,
Yo,
or
what's cracking?
Jinzu, whatever he wants to go by these days. Why don't you introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, I'm Jinzu. I play a little bit of professional gaming, semi-pro. Anything from Apex. Was into PUBG for a hot minute. Hit top 200 for that game, and dual wins. Now I'm on the Apex. Hit Predator and Diamond consistently, pretty easily. I can solo queue up to Diamond. We're winning a couple tournaments. One of the tournaments that we recently won was the Rogue Duo tournament with me and my boy Mr. Steez that I'm currently in a team with for trios for the ALGS. Recently just placed in the semifinals with the online tournament number 4. We're going on for 5 this weekend coming up on Saturday. But yeah, this is Jinzu. What's up?
Yeah. All right. So my boy Atari slash Jinzu here. I've been playing games with him for a couple of years, so we kind of go back. He has been in and out of the esports scene, I'd say, because of life and stuff, right? But
Yep.
been trying to get more serious about it. So let's start with talking about your affiliation with Rogue Nation.
Affiliation with Rogue Nation. So Rogue has like a sort of like community team that they pull members out of, and I want to look at the camera, but camera glasses kind of glare. But
It's all
so
good.
Rogue has a community team, right? That they kind of pull members out of, depending on what your skill level is for different types of games, and they're kind of just like it was a little bit open ended to just anybody who's looking to get on a stream team is mainly what it's for. But now they started to go more to a I don't know what you would call it, like closed off. It's not. It's more exclusive is the word I'm looking for. It's a more exclusive type of thing now. They had like somewhere between 5 to 600 members in there, including some bigger streamers who didn't really need to be in there. But now they've cut down to I think around 200 or so, and they're about to cut that down by about 50 or so coming up as well. And they'll provide anything that we need in terms of like stream graphics, panels, all that type of stuff, transitions, any type of editing that we need. They'll hook you up with it, and it's just like a smaller community side of Rogue, not officially signed to Rogue, but still a part of Rogue.
Okay. Yeah. So been trying to get into the esports scene. So what have the steps that you've been taking to kind of get your foot through the door in that sense for like people that are watching this interview and kind of like trying to get into the esports scene? Like, what is some stuff that you're doing that they can maybe emulate or follow?
First and foremost, depends on what type of game you're trying to play. If you're trying to do anything FPS related, you just want to grind. Like you need to grind consistently, just as much as you can. Any time that you have, any free time that you have, if you have that type of means where you don't have like a huge lot of like responsibilities and stuff, um, grind, improve your skill, practice, 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 practice. The higher you get, the higher you can climb in, like say ranked, for instance. Because a lot of these teams that are picking up free agent players for Apex, being my main game, all of those people are just grinders. They've grinded consistently. They stream it, they record it, they put out, just short little highlight videos on Twitter of them just popping off in scrims because it doesn't require you to have anything to get into scrims and start trying to make a scene for Apex. And they're kind of following that scene that Fortnite had, where you can basically just get in there if you have the people or the time. You can just get in there. It's an open-ended type of competitive scene, so that you can just walk in if you want to. You can get you 3 people. Me just speaking on Apex, of course, you can get you 3 people, walk into the scrims, start practicing, and then as you get better in those scrims, as you start placing better in those and getting more points and uh, increasing your skill so that you can start placing number one in those scrims, you'll get drafted or upgraded into the Group 1 lobbies, which are where pro teams are playing. And then those pro teams and those pro players are going to notice you if you're putting in the work. I'm already noticed by a couple of members from FlyQuest. I actually scrimmed with them for a few days, and it was an experience. It was pretty awesome. They already had a roster, of course, so it wasn't like I was joining FlyQuest. And I think FlyQuest ended up dropping their team. Otherwise, I would have been potentially picked up as like an extra or a sub or a second tier team for FlyQuest. But they ended up dropping all of that. So yeah, first and foremost, get on the game, put in the time, grind, improve.
Okay. Like I guess so I want to ask like what is like so obviously there are more popular games than Apex right now. Being
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Valorant, League of Legends, or even if it's just like FPSs, there's like CS:GO, there's I don't know, I think Fortnite is still more popular than Apex, right?
Fortnite is declining a little bit simply because not a lot of people are still trying to go in there and like slam keyboards trying to get that build off, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are moving over to Valorant. A lot of Fortnite players actually moved as well as Apex players. And it's the same thing for that game too. There's any FPS that's like that, you just gotta put in that time, learn it. They're already doing scrims for Valorant, even though we're in closed beta, technically, quote
Yeah.
unquote closed beta.
I'm actually in the Discord for a lot of the closed like scrims and stuff and setting up teams.
Yeah, so they're running a lot of tournaments. They've already got a season started for Valorant, like a you quote unquote pro scene started for seasons. I think it's $1,000 competition right now. So if you're looking to get into it, just you got to find a team. Even if you don't have a team, just go into pubs and slay out. When rank drops, just go in there, slay out, get yourself in there, get yourself up in ranks because everybody knows the top ranks is where people are going to be at, and you're going to consistently play with those top tier players, and they'll notice your name because you're consistently playing with them. So
Yeah, there's a lot of like on my website I made an article about networking. There's also one about um I also wrote something about content creation. So creating content I feel like is really big for esports as like you know too, right? You put out clips even just on Twitter.
yeah,
Just getting stuff out there for people to see, recruiters to see, for other teams, other people, just to kind of get your name. Like I had an interview with Evil, which I'm going to try to reshoot, but he was also stating that you need like to build your own brand for
yeah.
esports if you're trying to be a player. So, um, I guess are you trying to look for an org? Are you looking to sign with an org eventually, or is that not like something you're looking to do?
See, I play competitive just because I'm a competitive type of person, and that environment is just like what I grew up on. Having a heavy, like a very heavy scene in Call of Duty, Black Ops 2 specifically, is where I got like into competitive scene and gaming in general. Um, so I'm just like used to that atmosphere, especially when it comes to FPS. It's just like natural for me. As far as like looking for an org to compete with, it really depends on how strict that is because like I don't want to. I do a lot of stuff outside of gaming, having a full time job as well as guitar practice and a couple other things that I have responsibilities for. So trying to have that all going on as well as be consistently doing scrims and trying to stick to a training regimen, so to speak, of improving on games is just like something that I'll have to like extensively research and see if I can fit into a schedule that's consistent. So I want to go more towards the content creation side because that allow me to stream. You know, I can just pop in a stream 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day, or whenever I'm ready to stream. You know,
Yeah, you can
four
kind
or
of
5 days a week.
plug and play into your schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and just hit those clips, pop off, and start making that brand. That is one thing that I actually talked to the founder of Rogue. Rogue Frank is his name, and that was one thing that he was telling me because I was trying to get on the Apex team way back when Apex first dropped, and that's when I originally joined like the Rogue Nation stream team.
Mhm.
Is because I'm trying to get on the pro team for Rogue, and they already had a roster set out and picked, so they invited me to join that Rogue Nation stream team just on the side until I can make something and possibly move up into that Apex team. But the one thing that he was telling me, just like Evol, like you mentioned that Evolve said, was to create that brand for yourself, get your name out there, create a bit of content, make the orgs want you. Don't you got to bring something to the table. They're looking for something to benefit off of as well. It's,
Yeah,
it's a give
like
and take.
in the interview we had, we kind of talked about how like if you're not someone that's just like God given nuts at just every game you play, like Shroud or something, like you have to bring something else. Like because there's tons of people. I feel like the pro scene is there's tons of people who aren't pro that can compete at that level, right? Like a lot of the predator level players can probably compete with a lot of pros. but it's something else that they bring, right? That extra brand, that extra um like popularity for like a lot of them, especially their own brand. That's an added bonus to an org versus like just a good player, right? You get a good player on top of having a branded player who can bring more eyes to their organization as well.
Yeah, that when it comes to content creation, that's definitely how it is. Depending on how it goes for comp, some of those players, a lot of people don't even know who like Rogue Sweet Dreams or Rogue Dropped are because they don't really stream too much, but they're
Mm.
heavily in the competitive scene. And when you look at the competitive scene, a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, Rogue, they're pretty top tier team. They were definitely pushing to be number one for Apex." And then, like you mentioned, like there's a lot of players who are free agents that can compete with those top tier players, those professional signed players that are signed to orgs.
Mm.
And the only thing that separates it is the fact that they don't have the experience. And that's what a lot of orgs do right now is they'll recycle players. So Rogue, for instance, all of those players came from other BRs that were in in competition or competing with top tier players who are now signed players for Apex and orgs that are looking for teams for Apex. Just like Huskers. I mean, everybody knows Huskers, right? The dude pops off in basically like every BR that he plays. He was in H1Z1. He was in PUBG. He was in Blackout. He was in Apex. Now he's moved over to Warzone. Like the dude just goes nuts on basically any BR that he plays. And just because he has that type of experience and that background, if they were to drop a competitive team for Warzone, I guess who's getting picked up? He's already got the scene. He's already got that experience. That they'll pick him up right away.
And people know about him because he has content out there. Like
Right? Yeah.
it's
He's
not,
he's also a branding. Like he's got on his own bit of branding as well.
yeah, because I mean, if he was just going all there, not putting any videos, clips, or anything out, I feel like it'd be rare to really know somebody, right? Like going to different BRs, unless like that man is just if you go into a BR and on the like kill feed, you just see his name and like 5 kills back to back to back to back constantly.
I mean, that is what you see. That is exactly what you see, and that's how skilled. Because I think they brought back H1 for a little while, and this dude instantly he went in one lobby and they were just like playing around. I think they had like a tournament for it, just like a reboot. I think it was called for H1Z1. And this dude dropped like 9 kills, and he was the only one in the kill feed, just like back to back to back to back to back, just slaughtered like 3 teams right there. And he clipped it, of course, because that's
Yeah,
that content that you want. Threw
yeah.
it on Twitter. That's a clip right there.
When you go crazy, you should have Shadow Play downloaded or whatever. And that comes with your GeForce driver, right? If you have a video graphics card or something, it comes with Shadow Play, right?
Yeah, I believe it's the GeForce experience. You can hit the clips and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So like if you have like that on your computer, you just there's like a shortcut key. I don't use it because I
Yeah,
haven't
I don't
been
use
putting out clips or anything, but
it.
I know that that is a feature. So like if you're trying to get clips and stuff, just take advantage of that. You do something nutty, just hit that shortcut real quick, get that clip set up, and throw it into like a quick Twitter video or something, and just post it out there. Even like
Yeah.
TikTok now, I've been seeing TikTok videos of gameplay like
Oh
all over the
snap.
place. Like everybody, like people are posting their clips on there. It's definitely becoming a good spot for I think even Twitch streams. I've been seeing a lot of people advertise their Twitch streams on there. You're obviously going to target a more younger demographic. That's one thing also to understand when you're doing like content creation and stuff is like Twitter, I think is very broad in its demographics. But
You're right. Yeah.
if you go for a social media such as like TikTok, you're going to be targeting much younger demographic just because that's who that social media attracts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you want to go into content creation, that's more of the end game goal, right? I mean, if going pro happens, it happens, right? Like that's the you're not going to turn
Uh,
down an opportunity, right?
Probably not. It really, like I said, it really depends on. At that point, it really depends on how much I can get offered in terms of money. Because the only
Yeah.
thing that I have like tying me down, because I have a car note and all that. That's why I work a full time job. So if I can go pro and they sign me for enough money that's gonna take care of that, and a little pocket change if I want to get like snacks and stuff, yo, I'm big.
I'm trying to get a Snickers.
Yeah.
So So doing stuff like this, so I've asked Evil. I think I'm gonna do this for a lot of people, right? When I interview them, it's because I feel like this is also an issue that is similar to a lot of gamers, right? Especially if you're trying to pursue something in gaming or around content creation in general. It's like whether you're like how like your family supports you, right? Like, are they down for it? Do they understand? Like, do they
Not
understand what you're doing?
not a single bit, dude. I don't get like any family support. If anything, from like age 10 and on, my parents have always been riding me about get off the game 1 hour per day. You can't put in the grind time. Like
Yeah,
I've never had like a single ounce of support when it comes to playing any type of FPS or any type of games in general. It's always like, oh, you're spending too much time on the game. Even now, my dad, he doesn't like he's not at home majority of the time. He's actually he owns his own trucking company, so he's usually on the road a lot. But he'll call my mom, and be like, "Where's that boy at?"
is he on the
And they're on the
computer?
game, huh? They just automatically assume, because I'm trying to put in the work. I'm trying to put in the time. I'm about to get the grind.
Yeah,
I'm out
I
there.
mean it's hard, right? Like, because when you're trying to do something, whether it be because even content creation, right? Like you might not be playing games because I know for a fact, like when I'm shooting videos, editing videos, or whatever. Like for this, I'm probably gonna have to spend a couple hours just like editing real quick, throwing in some clips. Like I'm pretty sure at the beginning of this video, I'm probably gonna show the highlight reel of Jinzu. So I'm gonna have to edit that in. There's gonna be a little bit of editing that I'm gonna have to do, but it's like you're still on the computer, and if like, because I know for a fact, like when I'm even working on my computer, my like
Yup,
family will be like, "Oh, you've been playing games this whole time. It's been like 4 or 5 hours." I'm like,
yup. They automatically assume you're on that computer, you're on the games. Uh,
nah, I've been like doing other things, and even like when you're doing creative stuff like content creation, right? I don't know if you get this, but like if I'm doing something like writing an article or editing a video, dude, I'll sit there and stare at my monitor for like an hour of the same thing, just kind
yeah,
of thinking. I'm
yeah.
like try to
That
like
that definitely
figure
happens.
like I'm just like it's like that creative block that you just kind of sit there and have to like sit through. But it wastes a lot of time, and then if they check on you like every couple hours or something, right? They'd be like, "You haven't done nothing."
You're right.
But you're
Like,
sitting here
what are you
like, "Oh, I'm
doing?
fried." But yeah, so I
Be
asked
like
that
that.
question with a lot. Like, I feel like that's going to be something I'm going to ask every interviewee after this because I feel like it's something that a lot of people like to know, right? Because a lot of people out there, it still has that stigma, right? It's very new as far as gaming and esports and content creation as a valid career path.
Right.
It's definitely considered like um, going pro, I guess, in any sport, is what esports would be like. But as far as like how hard it is, but I feel like content creation is more of there's a lot more opportunity there than esports just because there's so many different social medias right now. There's so many different YouTube videos. Because I mean, if somebody watches like Shroud or Ninja religiously, right? They're only putting out like max like a 20-minute video every like day or every other day. So there's still like tons of other time in someone's day when they're just going through videos, clips, and just kind of consuming that content. So it leaves
Yep.
a lot of room for other people to be in the content creation game. But when it comes to esports, it's a very limited uh, rosters, right, for teams out there and organizations available to pick up players. So it's more relative to that of like going pro in regular sports, like traditional sports, I should say.
Yeah. I'll say one thing that for sure with orgs now and a lot of the way these games are probably going to develop in terms of the pro scenes is a lot of them are doing open ended. I don't know if you knew like before, if you've been following esports for a while, but COD, for instance, you cannot compete in any COD tournament unless you were a signed player.
Mm,
So, or if you went to the land and participated in like the open side of the tournament, but that's going to cost you money to travel all the way out
yeah,
there and so on and so on. But now, Fortnite leading the scene with that, bringing in that aspect of doing online tournaments and qualifiers and even competitions that will give you money. It's a lot easier for you to get into the scene without even being signed to an organization. Like you can just do it on your off time, find a game that you're good at, see if they're doing competitions. And there's a lot of like other little competition sites, CMG, forget what the acronym stands for, but they're if you look up CMG and look up for the, gaming website, they do, like, endless amounts of tournaments on there. There are money tournaments that are easy to get into. They're, no entry fee. I
Mm.
used to do them when I was on Fortnite. I won, like, 3 or $400 off of that.
Yeah,
I didn't get
I was just gonna
Go ahead.
say like what I used to do when I competed a little bit back in Call of Duty 4 days, throwback, the first Modern Warfare. You know what I'm saying? We did game battles. I think
Yep.
that's still a website. They're
Yeah.
definitely more specialized on Call of Duty tournaments, but that's also like one of those. And just to add on to like you talking about all these, I'll let you continue on listing some of these because it's pretty good information for people out there that want to get some scrims in and tournament wins in. But doing these is very beneficial because, like you said, and like Evil mentioned when I talked to him, was like just that experience, right? That experience in the professional scene or like a competitive scene. So if you can like go to an org, like if you're looking to get signed by an org, and you can go to them and be like, "Hey, this is the tournaments I've won. I've been on these tournaments. This tournament, we won this tournament. We placed this on this tournament." It shows that you have like that experience in the competitive scene, and it looks good on a resume, I guess, for organizations.
Yeah, definitely. And like I was saying, some of those small tournaments, like that's stuff that you could throw on your resume if you're coming in. Like my rogue tournament win that I got, it wasn't like a huge amount of money. I think it was like $150 winner take all, and it was split between two people. So we got like $75 each or so. But that's still a tournament that was won by us as a duo that we can put into our portfolio or resume to present to organizations and be like, "Yo, I won this tournament." And it wasn't just like a bunch of nobodies that entered. It was a couple of decent free agent people that are actually getting signed to orgs now, because a lot of the Apex pros are moving on to Valorant. So
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I competed in this tournament and was able to come in first and win this money. I think we also did a Liquid Team Liquid. They hosted a tournament too around Halloween. It was like Trigger Treats or something like that. And it was like this weird tournament where it's like they spin the wheel and you can't use this type of healing and this type of weapon or this type of character as well. And we placed I think we got like seventh or eighth place in that tournament as well. So that's another thing we can add onto the resume, the portfolio, present it. And I actually got DM'd by this guy named Convertible. He used to be looking for like a talent management position for FlyQuest. He was actually signed to FlyQuest and he was looking for Valorant content creators or pros. And he was like, yo, send me something professional. That's where that comes into play. You can get into some of these orgs simply by having a little bit of experience. They'll check you out and be like, yo, let's run a couple scrims. They'll test you out, say for Valorant, for instance. There's a lot of people getting into Valorant who have CSGO experience. So it's really just about
Mm-hmm.
trying to get that experience and getting your name in there, having that documentation of that experience.
You played against some, because I played against some CS:GO pros in the Valorant beta. That is not fun. I will tell you that right now. Those
Yeah,
guys
those
like
are
that,
intense.
the mechanics that transfer from CS:GO to Valorant are there. It is definitely the same. Like I don't care what anybody says. The pros are popping off in Valorant that have come from CS:GO, and that tells you that it's the same mechanics, right? Like because they had no problem switching over. Really, they're still popping heads, running through corners like easy one taps. It's
I
like
do want to go ahead and slide in there that the ESPN Apex Invitational, my or the not Apex, but the Valorant Invitational, my Apex team did win. Team Canyon, they did take home the victory. A bunch of Apex players
oh, that's true.
came in and dominated the
I
CS
also
team and the dev
I was
team.
watching one of these tournaments that was just put on like last week or 2 weeks ago, and like the top like some of the teams towards the end were BR players like PUBG pros and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So just a little bit of background on that tournament. It was actually a tournament that was hosted by an ESPN caster. I forget the name. It was Jacob something. I actually helped out with that a little bit for Rogue because they know the Rogue management staff and all that, and they had us come in and test a bunch of stuff and overlays and how it would run. But that tournament was top players from each game on a team. So like they had the Apex team, the PUBG team, the CS team, the Dev team. I think they had an Overwatch team as well, and they're all just competing top players from the pro scenes of those games, competing to win that title.
Yeah, it's Valorant. So we're talking about Valorant. It's the hot topic right now for sure. So let's just start with like your thoughts on Valorant. Are you, because I feel like a debate right now, like you can't deny that a lot of people are playing it, right? But it's more so like you see a lot of people talking about if it's just hype or if it's gonna die down in a couple months or so, and people are gonna not find it as fun, and people will go back to CS:GO or some other games.
Um, I'm definitely gonna say that game is gonna last the distance simply because it's Riot Games. Look how long League of Legends has been around and relevant. That game's been out for like what 20 years or something. I don't know. And it's still relevant. They're keeping it a little bit fresh. It's not as big as it used to be, but it's definitely still noticeable. It's still got that esports scene. Their production is insane from Riot Games. Every world's competition that they have, the world's finals are
It's
just
just massive.
they just keep getting better and better. Like
Yo, those Worlds halftime show, or like all those shows for
the
Worlds, is
entrances, yeah,
like, I feel like they're so much better than like even the Super Bowl halftime shows. Like
yeah, for sure.
I'm like these are lit, and and just the production value goes up every Worlds. Like I think what
Yeah.
was the last one? France, right? Was the last Worlds, I think.
I can't remember. I
I don't
think it was
know, but
somewhere like that.
theirs is crazy. Like I feel like they just use the newest like technology because they're using like 3D like hologram technology and stuff,
Yup,
and like they're just performers on the stage. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. You'll have like a dragon flying through the air.
yup. Those things are looking bomb right now, dude. And when you have a company like that dropping an FPS game that's good, it's on good servers. It's got the fundamentals of a good FPS. Like everybody's
Mhm.
been talking, it's just like CS. So many pros from CS are digging the game. They're liking the game. So that in itself, and the fact that it's being brought into it by a company that has that type of background, it's just like it's going to stick. It's gonna last a distance for sure. And
Yeah,
then just the way that they interact with the players who are like top tier players that are coming into the game right now is they actually talk to the players, they listen, and just like Raze, I think everybody was saying is super busted. She's already gotten nerfed. They've already dropped a nerf on her. This is closed to beta. And within, the 2 week span of people playing and getting used to the game, they're like, Raze is OP, Raze is now nerfed.
yeah. It's they're definitely they definitely take a lot of feedback from the community, which is, I think, what for some reason so many like devs and like publishers don't understand for some reason after all this time. Like if you just listen to like your initial community feedback as far as like things that the players, the people who are going to be buying your game and playing your game, are telling you is wrong with your game, like you should listen. And at least, like, you don't have to act on every like feedback the community gives, but if it's like a unanimous thing, like everybody was saying Raze is broken, just because like her utility is like she has the only utility pretty much that can kill. Like everybody
Yeah, just
else's
dominate.
utility is like information or
It's an assist.
smokes. Like her like utility is straight lethal, like lethal. So like she's obviously a crazy fragger, and is so like it messes with the balance a little bit. And also like another argument I had, like I wouldn't say argument, debate that I had with Evil, because I kind of brought up, I was like, I feel like this could be a game that kills CS:GO. He doesn't think he'll kill CS:GO because it's like League of Legends, right? It's been around for like ever. There's
Yeah.
CS Source, there's CS:GO, but I kind of like my whole point of view on it was just CS Source and CS:GO have been out for so long. They haven't really innovated their game, right? They don't really update it crazily. It's kind of been the same game for years, but they've never actually had competition. Because there's been other FPSs, but I don't think there has been any other FPSs like CS:GO. And
Yeah,
this
there
is
hasn't
like,
really been too many arena shooters that have been dropping. That whole BR hype meta has been what's been dominating FPS
yeah.
scene. So
And so like I was saying, like Valorant is a game like CS:GO. It's got the same mechanics. Their map creators, they like Riot hired on like the CS Source and CS:GO like map devs
yeah,
for their map creation. So I'm like the maps are gonna be good. And I was saying like it's pretty much CS:GO like everybody's saying. So why would some like I was just thinking like unless CS:GO like this obviously is gonna force them to innovate a little bit if they want to keep their game alive. But I'm just
yeah,
saying like it's definitely something that's gonna like I feel like it's gonna kill it as far as like the competitive scene is gonna be bigger for sure, just because it's a Riot game and they're like global. I don't even think Riot is considered like any certain country's like game anymore.
yeah.
Because
They're
they
all over
have
the
like
place.
they have worlds. They're big in China. They're big in Korea. They're big in like the EU in general. They have like all of the regions loving their games. So, and I feel like CS:GO is a lot more Western of a
Yeah,
title.
Western and EU. I don't think there's too many like Asian countries
Yeah, like
that are like
into
participating.
CS:GO, but I feel like they're Asia. Like I feel like Korea and like China and all those countries are gonna take Valorant and run with it just because it's a Riot title. And they've
Yeah,
been playing League of Legends. If they like shooters, they're just gonna take it and run with it. I've already played with a couple people from like China, I think, on the closed beta because their
yeah,
ping was outrageous. It was like
yeah.
200 or something.
I think it's only available in like one country right now that's like an Asian country. Because they don't have the server, so the beta wasn't available. The beta is only available like 4 or 5 countries or something like that right now until they get more servers up. So, and that's another thing. Like Riot Games is they're just so efficient when it comes to dropping a game, producing it, balancing it, and just like keeping it relevant. They can like there's so much potential for the game, obviously because there's like what 150 characters in League of Legends, and they're somewhat balanced. There's a few things that are busted or not, but they always drop another patch within like the next 2 weeks or so. That's rebalancing stuff, changing up the meta, keeping the game fresh, and that's why it's lasted as long as it has.
Mhm.
Because Riot Games is always keeping it fresh.
Always changing up the meta. But so like for people watching, right? This is something like we're talking about Valorant because it's hot, and so I look at this as a good opportunity for anybody that's looking to get into the esports scene. Because right now it's still really fresh. There's obviously going to be some nutty players out the bat, like that come from CS:GO and stuff. But if you're like a new player trying to get into the esports scene, it's definitely really fresh right now. Like Jinzu was saying, there's also like a lot of discords already, tournaments that are pretty open, right? Like obviously you're gonna have to find the Discord, but once you're in like those Discords and stuff, and you can network and start getting yourself in some of these tournaments, you can kind of start getting your name involved with the Valorant scene because each game has its own scene. Right now, Valorant is so fresh that there's nobody yet. When you think Valorant, you don't think of any game. Like when you think Fortnite, you think Ninja because he just like kind of blew up on Fortnite. But like
Yeah.
kind of like those kind of things, like no one has really taken that title yet, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for right now with Valorant. Is there's tons of videos being put out on YouTube already because like people are trying to get to be that content creator, go-to content creator for Valorant because right now there isn't one. Right, a lot of people are probably turning to some CS:GO content creators who are making Valorant videos, but
Yeah.
as far as that goes, like it's pretty much it's like a brand new. It's like it's like a giant company, like Fortune 500 company, just opened up right next door. They need to fill
Yeah.
all of these slots, right?
Yeah.
So
And
like
they're doing a lot of that right now too. TSM, especially, they already put out a Twitter or tweet, saying that they're looking for content creators and potential competition tournament players that are going to be signed over to TSM. So if you're able to get into that game, start dropping some nutty clips, kind of make some noise for yourself, you could potentially get into TSM because that's what they're looking for. I got a lot of friends who are coming over from Apex that are into Valorant, and it's just such a clean, smooth game, dude. Like you can't go back to Apex after because the Apex server is it's trash. I'll be completely honest. Like it's
Yeah.
bad. You get like 100 or not even 100, like a 20 or 40 tick server going from that to Valorant with a 128 tick server every single game with like somewhat decent ping pretty much consistently. It's like get on the game, get in there, start dropping that content because orgs are out and they're looking right now in the beta. The game hasn't even released. It's only been out for what,
Yeah.
2.5 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I
Going on
think
3 weeks.
yeah, I think it's getting close because it just started. I think it was like April 7th or something like that, 7th or
Yeah, so
ninth.
going on 3 weeks. Tomorrow, I believe, three will be the 3 week mark or 4 week mark, one of the two.
Yeah, and it's
So
already been wild. Like, there's already tons of videos. Like, people are pushing that content out. So, if you're looking to get in, this is like a huge opportunity. New games are always a giant opportunity for getting fresh content out there. Like, if you don't even have any following yet or anything, new games are always that kind of opportunity for people who don't have a following already because you can be that first one to get a video out about, I don't know, like a certain spot, like tips and tricks on Valorant and like this map bind or Haven, and like be that first one to get that video out for like something like that, and everybody will watch that video because it's the first one and they're looking for little like tricks and opportunities to like take advantage or have an edge in this game. So
yep. I'll give a perfect example of that. My boy Mr. Steez that I team with currently on the Apex, we hopped on Valorant when it first dropped. I think Wednesday because it dropped on a Tuesday. So Wednesday after it came out, he ended up getting his key, got on the game, and immediately played roughly 4 to 5 hours and was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video. So he made a video about tips and tricks for each of the maps. It's just a basic video, tips and tricks on the maps, where callouts are, where spawn points are, rotations, where people could possibly sit that are most popular right now, the high traffic areas that people are gonna sit in. They can just walk around the corner and pre-fire in, that type of thing. And he's already at like 2,500 views just off a video like that. And it's not even that advanced. It's just the basic tips and tricks on some maps.
yeah, because right now it's not saturated because like you try to look up a tips and tricks video on CS:GO, a game that's been out forever, right? If you look up a tips and tricks video
Yeah.
for CS:GO, there's gonna be pages of tips and tricks. But you do that right now for Valorant. I mean, it might be at pages now, but like when it first came out, if you were on top of it, putting stuff out there, you're one of the few videos out there for tips and tricks. So it's just things like that that'll help you, like because we're focusing more on content creation since that's kind of what you're going for, right? So like, um, just things like that to take advantage of. Timing is huge. New games is huge. Signing up for like any beta that could be competitive is huge.
Yeah,
Um,
and just betas in general, especially when it comes to FPS, because FPS are just competitive. Like there's no way you're playing an FPS and not getting competitive.
well,
It's just
yeah,
how
as
FPS
long as it's a
is.
multiplayer FPS,
Yeah, if it's
because
if it's a multiplayer, yeah, of
I
course.
mean, a single player like speed runs are a thing.
Yeah, you bring that in for competitions and all that stuff, but other than that, yeah, multiplayer FPS. There's no way you're playing a multiplayer FPS and not having any type of competitive. Somebody's gonna be like, I'm the best, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're able to get into a beta like that and just get on the game,
Oof.
there's one called Diabolical. I don't know if a lot of people heard of it. I actually got access to it. I didn't end up playing it because it was like a Quake type game, is what it
Mhm.
was. And CD in the third, if you guys are familiar with him, he was I think one of the first people who were like sponsored by the game to give out beta codes and stuff for that game when it was in the beta. He was the one who like promoted it the most. And that was a game, if you can get into the beta, look around, that's a potential competition or a potential esports game coming out. I don't know when the release date was, but it's got potential to be, something similar to Quake right now. And, if you could get into the game, you could just drop a couple videos, see what guns are popping, how the spray patterns are, and just drop content like that. Because content creation, that's just how simple it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, but the methods, right, are simple because you just have to, it's super repetitive. Because when you're in content creation, it's quality and quantity. Because you need quality content and you need a lot of it. Because if you're posting like one video a month, maybe you'll get noticed. But the way like algorithms work on YouTube and stuff, I think if you're not uploading at least weekly, your likelihood of like being recommended or something goes down a ton. But if you're like pushing out a ton of content, YouTube is more likely to recommend your videos to other people and stuff.
Yeah,
So there's definitely like a lot of things in and out of content creation when it comes to stuff like that. But as far as esports is concerned, I feel like, especially with when I talk to Evil, it's a lot of Twitter, like a little bit of YouTube, and like Twitch. Like YouTube and Twitch are kind of the same as far as I guess organizations are concerned, as far as content or yeah, as far as like brand because
for like yeah esports, but when it
yeah.
comes to content creation, majority of the time, because I've talked to a couple of orgs right now, majority of the time, what they're gonna look for is what's your channel analytics. So you're looking at what's your following, how many viewer average, of course, and then uh not so much on subscribers because that doesn't really do anything for them. But then I forget what the other one was. It's pretty much like a who you know type of thing a bit too.
Mm,
Because if you can get in there with some of the other content creators that are up there, you can produce some more content. They're like, oh snap, he played with this person, or
yeah.
oh my god, he played with this pro player. And just for the fact that you're a content creator, that's not like you're not trash the game, because obviously you're gonna have to have a little bit of skill, depending on what
Mm,
you're going for in content creation. If you're just an entertainer, or if you're like somebody who's hitting clips and dropping like sick montages and stuff like that, you can potentially get in there and talk to some of the pro players because they're like, oh, this guy is pretty good. He's seen like highlight reels. And then you're able to produce more content, bring in more of an exposure to yourself from those content creators. And it's just like, you know, you're in there pretty much.
yeah. Networking is huge in any field, I feel like, but even more so in the more niche fields like content creation and esports. Because with content creation, networking is huge because it helps a lot if you can collab with people that are similar in your brand, right? Like I
Definitely.
would consider this interview a collab because you're a player, you go like you're looking to go pro or not looking, but compete at the pro level pretty much. You play against TSM, you play against all these big names, but you're also a friend that I've played games with for years now. So it's
Yep.
kind of like it's networking, but it's not because a lot of people when you hear networking, right, you think how can this person benefit me? But a lot of the times it's just networking with like if you know someone that plays video games and you're friends with them, if you think of an idea, be like, hey, trying to do this? And then most likely if you guys have been chilling and stuff, you're likely to say yes. I mean, I wouldn't turn down any collabs for anybody, even if like it's not my genre. If I knew you, like I have friends that do photography and make websites and stuff. So if they need help with something, I'd obviously be down. But it's more so like building like if you're into something, like a lot of people right now for Valorant. Let's go back to the Valorant thing. Uh, I there's an article on the website at GameChamp.net. You can want to check it out for how to rank up and get better at Valorant. And one of the first thing I put on there was find a team. Now that doesn't mean find a team like to go pro or anything, but Valorant is going to be one of those games where communication is huge and teamwork is huge because it's a lot of map control. So if you find a team by just going into games, someone has similar kills as you, similar skill as you, just add them to your friends list. Be like, hey, let's play some games together. We're both pretty much at the same level. We can help each other out, level up or not level up, but
Rank up.
like rank up, yeah. And then from there, like as you like to play together, you can find like a third person who's able to frag out or understands as much as you two do, and then you add him as your third. And then you just keep doing that, and then they become friends, and you guys play other games together. And then who knows, in like in the future, one person out of your group is able to get their foot in the door somewhere that can open up some opportunities for you is kind of how it ends up working out, right? You networking is doesn't have to be like you're obviously not gonna go an email shroud right out the gate and be like, "Hey, do a queue with me," right? Like, because that's not how that works. Because it's obvious that you're not like because networking is stigmatized, I think, a lot from business and has this stigma of like using people and like like and putting a value on a certain friendship. But I think when it comes to gaming and stuff, everybody's a lot more open to helping and collabing with each other. Especially in content creation, it's huge. A lot of people love to collab. Nobody's
Yeah.
really too crazy about their stuff. It's less like but it has to be like around your um level, right? Like if you're just kind of new starting out to YouTube and you find somebody else kind of new starting out to YouTube, kind of works that way. Or like someone who's just a little bit bigger than you that's willing to help you out. But it's like I said, like it's not networking is something that you can just go and email Shroud and be like, "Hey, can you post my video on your Twitter?"
I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to what type of characteristics you have. So like recognize like what type of person you are. You could be, somebody who's funny, somebody who's skilled at games. You could just have that charisma, and play to that. Like play your cards, basically.
Hmm.
Use that to grow yourself, get your name out there. And then when it comes to networking, people who so a really good example is ACU and Dizzy. Not a lot of people know or are familiar with it, but Dizzy was the first to get signed to NRG, and Dizzy recommended HU to get signed after that, and that's how that whole came about. That's how HU got into NRG. It's a perfect example. Neither one of them were signed. They were both like really good players on CS, and Dizzy got noticed because he popped off in Apex, and then HU decided to get on Apex as well. He's obviously going to be pretty good coming from the CS background, and so that recommendation, boom, he's in the door. Your homie got the foot in the door, recommended you because you're good friends, and bam, now you're both a part of NRG. You're both really good players, and you get an exposure, and you both just basically blew up, and just like that.
Yeah.
So they're both cracked players. They played their cards for being like really good players, and look where that got them. And then I know like Timmy. He's not only really good at the game for Apex, which he's actually done playing. He's going to Valorant, but not only was he really good at the game, he had his whole like stream built around like entertainment and high skilled play. So it's like he knew he could do that. That's what he liked to do. That's what he built his stream around. So it's like, what are you good at? Find it, start to use it, build your stream and whatever your content you want to create around that, promote that. And as you start getting your name out there and you have like good quality content, people will notice it. Bigger names will notice it. Makes it easier to network.
Yep, for sure. Like, and one thing, like, I don't know, do you have experience going to conventions?
Yeah, a little bit. So actually, my boy Steez is friends with my boy Duncan, and let me just networking for you right here, right? I met my boy Jay Stiller here,
Mhm.
who I met through Liger, aka Kevin, who I from him met this girl named Chalera. From her, I met this dude named Baron Duncan Tanner, and Duncan knows this dude named Droopy Drawers or Drew, which I met at a convention just randomly because my boy Duncan was like, "Yo, I'm going to DreamHack Atlanta." And I was like, you know what? I'm going to Atlanta that weekend too. I'm gonna just come and see what's up. So I went there, met this dude named Drew who knew Duncan. Duncan introduced me to Drew. Drew introduced me to a couple other streamers and also has a stream team, which I'm now a part of as well, on Twitch called It's Fine. And then through all of that, I met my boy Steez. So just like that, it just bounced around from person to person to person to person to person. That ended up getting me a pretty good player on Apex on my team, and here we are. So, going to conventions, that's one thing. The talent manager that I was talking to from Rogue, I'm good friends with him. He was telling me conventions help a lot with networking because you can get
Let's
like
go.
in person, in the face, and just be like, "Yo, what's up?" not
Mm,
many content creators say like Shroud. You're not gonna walk into Shroud's chat and be like, "Yo, what's up, dude?" And like, "Yo, can I get a hug? Can I get an autograph or something like that?" You can't do that over the internet. You can't do that, just
mhm.
in somebody's chat. But at a convention, you meet them, you got one-on-one time, undivided attention, basically for a couple seconds to a couple minutes, and you can do something with that.
Yep. Like that's why under my networking article on GameChamp.net, I'm gonna plug it. Networking. We got conventions. It is huge. You meet a lot of people. Like I was really big in the anime convention scene. It was so like me and my friends just started going one year, and from there we would just meet people, have fun. But getting involved in the community, you definitely start meeting a lot more people. Like I know a lot of big cosplayers. Um, I know a lot of the anime apparel guys. Like one of my friends is owner of like Senpai Squad. It's a anime brand. It's pretty big. A lot of
Yeah, I heard
people
about
know
one.
it in anime conventions, and so it's something like conventions is definitely one of those things because if you're over the age of 21 or even 18, there's parties and after parties at tons of these conventions. If it's a bigger convention, there's going to be tons of after parties. Some of them
Right.
18 plus, some of them 21 plus. Those after parties are the perfect place. Like if you're, as long as you're not like, you got to be personable first and foremost. You have to be chill. Like most of these people, like if you come at them all fangirl, especially if it's someone like Shroud or like these bigger content creators, if you come out fangirling, it's gonna be really weird for them. They like, and they're not gonna want to talk to you or network with you. Like one story I have is I met this guy. His name's Aaron. He's a YouTuber, and one of my homies put on the guy that owned Senpai Squad. He had an after party, so I was helping him set up and stuff. And during the party, we were allowed to like we just hung out in the VIP area. And this I saw this one like I just kind of like it was a 21 and up after party, so I was a little buzzing. But when I get like that, I just like I get even more personable than I feel like I already am because I'm pretty laid back and I like to talk to people. But when I get a little buzzing, I get a little bit more outgoing as far as like who I talk to. So I just would start going up to people in the VIP area who were just chilling, kind of being more quiet and reserved, and like standing in the corners of the section. And I would just go up to them and start striking up some conversation. And I started talking to this one guy, and he was like, we were having like a decent conversation, talking about what we've been doing, how we enjoy the convention and stuff. And then he kind of like he asked for my Instagram, and I was like, okay. And then he's like, you don't know me? And I was like, nah. I was like, I just saw you chilling here, so I thought I'd come and say what's up. And he's like, oh, that's so cool. And like he actually started fangirling because like it was like I guess he always gets people coming up to him that just know him from YouTube and as a fan. So he was like it was like a new experience for him to have someone come up to him and I guess like when you have that many followers, he had like over 1 million followers. I didn't know that. So I'm
Yeah.
talking to so I guess it's rare for people like that to have like a genuine experience with
Yeah.
somebody. So like he was freaking out because I came at him like a regular person and they had no idea about his like following or anything. And so like and because of that, he was like, "Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram." He's like, "Blah blah blah. If you're ever in LA, just message me, bro. Be like, hey, this I'm that dude from the Senpai Squad after party." He's like, "We'll meet up, we'll collab, we'll chill." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Yo, that's sick." Like it's just
Yup.
so
That's
like
how it be.
when it comes to networking, you just have to be like chill person.
Yep. You just gotta not fangirl and and chill, basically.
Yeah, like cause
That's
I
that's pretty much how it was for me too, with Drew, because he's like a partnered streamer. He's averaging like 100 to 200 viewers, and I was just like, "Yo, what's up?" Like we went around the convention. He actually had I don't know what you call him, but he had like
a booth.
yeah, booth. So he had a booth for a company that we sponsored by OP Seat. which I now have an OPC sponsored by because of him.
Hey.
I was looking for a good chair. So yeah, so I was just talking to him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was partnered. I didn't know he had like, a couple 100,000 followers on Twitch and Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. And I was just like, yo, what's up? What's cracking? And he's like, oh, this is a super chill dude. So he ended up being friends with
Mm,
me at it, like following me on Twitter. And the good thing about conventions is you have a thing in common. If you go to TwitchCon, there's something that you all have in common. You all use Twitch. You all
yeah.
most likely are streamers. So it's like a basically like you don't even have to tell them that you stream. They just
Hmm.
expect that you stream because you're at TwitchCon. It's like you obviously watch Twitch. You might be streaming a little bit. So the first thing he did, I didn't even mention it. I didn't even know he was a streamer. He's like, "Oh yeah, you stream?" I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Let me drop a follow." I was like, "Oh snap! All right."
Yep, it's
So
definitely like that's also I don't know why I didn't touch on that. It's in the article. I made sure to mention the article, but it's like conventions are there as a it's almost like an ice breaking tool for like anybody at the convention. Like you are all already there for one reason. Like whatever that reason is, Comic Con, you're there because you like superheroes, comics. Well, Comic Con's kind of everything now, San Diego one at
yeah,
least. But like you go to like an anime convention, everybody watches anime. You see somebody that you want to talk to or get to know. Hey, what's your
yo,
favorite anime? Like
oh, what kind of anime you like?
they're gonna have one because you're at an anime convention.
Easy clap.
And so it's like it's and then like because it's weird like because I feel like I guess it's just the way I am, but I've never like you see those like weird fangirly like people all the time on TV and like videos and stuff, but you don't like when I actually hang out with my friends that have a decent following and I see how some of these people conduct themselves when they're trying to like get a picture or something. Like, there's obviously the people that just come up and just go, "Hey, can I get a picture?" That's cool. Everybody's cool with it. But there's like some like weird creepers who like to like lurk for like 10 minutes and like just like hide in your shadow for like 10 minutes until they build up like the courage to be like, "Hey, can I get a
Yo.
picture?" I mean, it's not that bad, but there's also like ones that just get a little too like because some of them are girls, right? And so they get too I don't know. I don't know what the term is for it, but they get too hyped, I guess, and they end up
Yeah.
being like really creepy and makes them uncomfortable. But like if you just chill out, they're people,
Yup.
especially
At the end of the
content
day,
creators. Like actors and stuff are people too, but they're like a different level. It's like can't compare it really because when you talk about content creators, these are people who probably just started their YouTube in their room. You know what I mean? Like they're not like these huge production people who work with tons of people. So they're just like a normal person who does content on things they enjoy. And so they're not used to like I guess a lot of them aren't used to all the attention. So it's a little weird for them when they get those fangirly reactions or they get awkwardly like approached all the time and it's just
yeah.
and also like know when to leave. I would give that advice. Like if you go up, start a conversation with someone, try to be like, try to understand if they're like kind of busy and they're trying to be polite or something. Be like, oh, okay, my bad. Like that's it's not your right time because like these people are busy a lot of times when they go to conventions because I know a lot of them and if they're like at a convention, a lot of the times they have prior engagements before even the convention starts. Like they'll have booth times at certain booths at these times or they'll have to be at like some certain after party that they're getting paid to be at.
Yup.
And so like you can't you should use your time wisely, right? Like don't try to eat up too much of their time because they're busy. Because that like for a lot of people conventions are for fun, which is the way I was going for it, but a lot of times like after getting to know a lot of these people that do this for a living, conventions are stressful for them. Like the guy that owns Senpai Squad, he's every convention that he goes to, it's like he's stressed, not sleeping at all, like 2 or 3 days before the convention even starts, getting all of his products ready, getting his booth ready, getting everything lined up. And then even as it's going, he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off, like making sure like people he's like all his workers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, making sure he's networking at the same time because that's also part of your job. When you're a content creator, networking it will always be your job. because it's like one of those things where you want to stay relevant as a content creator, and you also want to be up to date on like what other content creators are doing, because like
Yeah,
you'll notice a lot of the times in a lot of these niches, right, like for gaming and stuff, there's like when that whole phase like thing started back in Call of Duty days,
yep,
like it was like networking, like phase got big and they had this certain editing style with their videos that almost every like montage Call of Duty player followed. And that's like part of networking. Like you want to like talk to other content creators, see what they're doing, and stay up to date with like what people like to watch.
for sure, definitely.
But yeah, so I mean, I feel like we've talked about a lot of things, and this is definitely more of a interview that I think would be very helpful for content creators and networking. I feel like we talked a lot about those two topics the most.
Yeah.
So I
I mean,
think,
if you're trying to get in the pro scene anyway, content creation is something that's going to be a little bit
oh, it's a strong avenue.
segue into that.
Yeah, like it's both marketing for yourself and networking at the same time, because it's your content, you're building a brand, and other people are being able to see it, which is networking. And so, yeah, I mean, any last tips that we might not have covered, Jinzu, that you might want to bring up or that you think people should know?
Tips, use your time wisely. That's pretty much it.
Yep, it's your business. Treat it like a business. You are a business owner, and the company is you. You are the
You,
brand. You are the company.
you get out of it what you put in it, man.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to developing skills at specific games. Like, uh, just like a quick example, my boy Steez, I'm always on him simply because, like, I mean, people like to stay up late, chill, kind of vibe out and stuff like that. But when you're saying those words of "I want to be a pro gamer," you better be willing to put in that work, like get up, put in that grind time, practice your aiming, practice your rotations for games, learning those characters. That way, you're actually putting in what you're trying to get out.
Hmm.
You're putting in the work to become a pro gamer.
Yep. It's not all just playing the game. It's working on the certain mechanics and certain things part of the gameplay and trying to improve on all parts. It's not just playing the game, because yeah, you'll get better if you just keep playing a game, right? But there's a certain limit that you're gonna get by just playing. If you're not working on your aim and improving that at the same time as like your reflexes, your twitch mechanics, like
Yeah,
flicking or certain things, like if you're not getting better at different things, you're gonna stagnate eventually in your skill level. So that's definitely a big tip to end on, especially for those that are here for esports and maybe aren't too big on, like, because a lot of us that are in the games, I can tell, are not sociable just by playing public games. Like,
yeah,
so, so if you're not into that whole networking and content creation thing, you just got to get nuts. Like, you got to be nutty,
you gotta practice.
and you're
You just
gonna
gotta
have to
practice.
practice 10 times harder than everybody else, because those putting out content are ahead of you by a lot when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, well, thank you, Jinzu, for being my first guest on this series.
No problem, bro.
And are there any socials that we should be plugging? You know what I mean? The Twitter, the Twitch. Let
Oh
them
yeah,
know.
you can check me out on AiM Jinzu. That's AIMJINZU on all social medias. We got Twitter, we got Instagram, we got YouTube coming up, and of course we got the Twitch.
Yep, the Twitch, the Twitch. And then, you know what? Maybe I'll play. We'll play the clip right here. This is where I'm going to insert the clip for this man's highlight reel, so you can see what to expect from tuning into his Twitch streams and stuff when he's playing and stuff. His little skill. That's his skill level.
Hey, I ain't folding under pressure, I ain't switching for no hoe. I ain't talking to no cop and I ain't telling on my bros. Ain't no killer, but don't push me, fingers itching on that pole. Niggas plotting on my come up, gotta watch stay at my nose. Long nights I sold drugs just to hit the studio. Now I'm eating steak and shrimp, bitch, I ain't eating sloppy Joe. Looking to the mirror, flexing, now a nigga in his glow. Bust off like a Smith & Wesson, welcome to the rodeo. Shorty wanna fuck me cause a nigga wearing gold. I came up and made it happen, I was trapping by the stove. Big dope inside this backwood case, this nigga want smoke. Do me dirty, I'ma find you, lay your ass out on the floor. 19 with a bag, I got rich by myself. Rather do this shit alone, I wasn't asking for no help. They keep asking how I'm winning with the card that I was dealt. Boy, I work hard for the seat and I ain't buckling my belt. Call my brother on the phone.
He's kind of nuts with it, but
I try.
yeah. So I mean, I have my ending questions being like, what's your next big plans for the year or the next couple of years? Like, where you plan on taking your
Uh,
brand?
so yeah, I have AIM Squad. Just to introduce you guys to the brand, I do have AIM Squad. I do have merch for AIM Squad as well. That you can look underneath the stream in the panels to check out some of the merch and different things that we have going on for AIM Squad. Right now, that's just my community, but at the end goal, say a year or 2 years out, would be to develop more of a. I want to get like a clothing line because the AIM Squad logo is very unique. It is very nice. You guys should definitely check that out.
I'll put a
And
link in the description below if you guys want to check that out.
yeah, that logo took some time and some sweat to make, and it came out amazing. And I personally want to wear it on clothes. So I'm developing clothes that I want to wear, and if other people like it, that's sick. But the end goal would be to eventually make AIM Squad into an organization, ran by me, of course, and get some content creators, maybe a couple of teams, and some competitive games and such as well. But we're on square one right now, getting our name out there.
Yeah. So thank you, Jinzu, for being here, and thank you guys for watching this interview. If you guys have made it this far, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know who I should be interviewing. If you guys want somebody to be interviewed, let me know. Let them know. Let them try to be that networking bridge for us, and let me know who I should be interviewing. And I'll get it out there. I'll definitely try to make sure I interview as many people as possible when it goes from anything from content creation to esports, because I feel like as I've been doing these interviews, content creation is very big as far as esports goes. So that's definitely something I should be covering as well. So yeah, if you guys are watching, make sure you comment anybody who you'd want to see and like and subscribe for future videos. If you want to watch these interviews live, I'm going to figure out how to live stream these interviews at the same time as recording them so that maybe we could get some viewer questions at the end of these interviews or anything that me or my interviewee might have missed or that you guys would like to have answered at the time. So
Awesome.
I linked all this the link down below for everything from his Twitter, his Twitch, his merch, my Twitch, because why not plug my own as well. And then the website gamechamp.net, where I will be posting a lot of content for advice and little tidbits here and there on esports. So yeah, like always, gamers, keep on gaming, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.